Hi guys, welcome to today's review for 8.1 to 8.4. Today's objective, review manipulating polynomials. Right, we look here at topics, writing in standard form, naming by degree and term, adding, subtracting, multiplying polynomials, factor out a greatest common factor, and then multiply binomials. Again, feel free to pause this video at any time if you need to catch up. But I'm going to get moving forward here. So our first problem here is to classify this polynomial. So what I'm actually going to do is do one more step, is to put this into standard form. So right, we look at our exponents here. Right, we have something x to the fourth. We have something x to the first, and then technically, right, that 3, that constant term is x to the 0. So I'm going to put x to the fourth first, then plus 7x to the first, and then our constant always goes last. So now we have it in standard form, and now I need to classify it. I'm going to name it off of two separate things. One by the degree, and then also by the number of terms. So if we start with the degree, right, we look at the power. Well, the highest power is 4. We would call that quartic. Then our number of terms, right, we have 1, 2, 3 terms. Well, we classify that as a trinomial. So right here we have a quartic trinomial. Okay, second one here, it says simplify the difference. Simplify the difference. Reminder with this, when we have a subtraction problem with two separate polynomials, it's best to turn it into an addition problem. How we do that, right, we distribute that negative to each term. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rewrite this left side. I'm going to change this to addition. And now if we distribute that negative, we really have negative 8x squared minus 2x and then plus 4. Oh, sorry about that. So now that we have this, now we can do our addition problem. So we find like terms. So I'm going to start with my x squareds. I have negative 5x squared plus negative 8x squared, which would give me negative 13x squared. Okay, now my x terms, I have 7x plus negative 2x. Well, that's going to give me plus 5x. And now going to my constants, I have 3 plus a positive 4. So that's going to give me 7. And notice again, I wrote it in standard form, right? Highest power to lowest power. So right, make sure when you see that word standard form, you're going highest power to lowest power. So right, subtraction problems almost turn into an addition problem every time. So that's kind of a practice to our adding polynomials as well. So now here, we need to simplify the product. Right, when we have something times a trinomial, we just have to use distribution. But we do have kind of a shortcut way for the second one, but we'll talk about that. Again, if you'd like to, pause the video, try these two problems first, see if you get the right answer, and then play that video and check it out. So first one here, we distribute that 8x to each term. So I go 8 times negative 3 gets me negative 24. X times x squared gets me x to the third. 8 times 6 gets me 42, or 48. Apologize for that. 48. X times x gets me x squared. And then 8 times negative 2 gets me negative 16. And then we just have the x from the original. So we simplified the product. We have our answer right there for us. Now notice here, we have a binomial times a binomial. what we can do, we can just distribute, or you can also use what we talked about in class the other day, right? The term FOIL. So I'm going to show using FOIL on this one. So I'm going to start with my first terms. So my first term is 3 times 5 gives me 15. X times x gives me x squared. Now I'm going to work with my outside terms. 3 times 4, negative 4, sorry, gets me negative 12. And then we have x. Now my inside terms, 2 times 5 gets me 10x. And now 2 times a negative 4 gets me negative 8. And our final step here is to just simplify this, combine like terms. 15x squared minus 2x minus 8. And there's our answer. So these were some special cases that we just learned about yesterday. So it says simplify the product, some special cases here. So again, I'm going to use FOIL. It's the same idea as distributing, but kind of has a pattern to it or an order to it. So again, I'm going to use FOIL. If you want to distribute, that's totally fine. What I'd like you to do again, pause this video, try these two problems first, then check your answer as we go through. So for FOIL here, right, 3x times 3x gets me 9x squared. Outside terms get me 12x. Inside terms get me minus 12x. Outside, or last terms, not 14, sorry. Negative 16. So, right, why this is a special case, notice our x values end up canceling out. We get 9x squared minus 16. And now for the second one here, it's best to rewrite this problem. So, right, really this is telling us we have 2x plus 3 times 2x plus 3. Most common mistake is to just square the 3 and square the 2 and think that we're done, right? That's not going to get us the correct answer. So we got to make sure to rewrite that out twice, and now we just FOIL. So we get 4x squared plus 6x plus 6x plus 9 for a final answer of 4x squared plus 12x plus 9. So last problem here today is to factor out the GCF. So what we're going to focus on first is the numerical values. Right? If we look at 48, 32, and 26, we have to think to ourselves, okay, what are they all divisible by? Right, we know they're all divisible by 2. So, right, we can start with that. We can look, okay, are they divisible by 4, things like that. The one I want you to focus on is 26. 26 is divisible by 2, and it gets us 13. But, right, that's not able to be broken down anymore because it's a prime number. And so, in fact, the GCF numerically that we can take out is a 2. That's the most we can take out here. And now we focus on our x values. Right here we have x to the 6th, x to the 2nd, x to the 5th. Now you can only take out what you actually have. And so if you have x to the 6th, x to the 2nd, x to the 5th, the most x's you can take out is x squared, because we can't take out x cubed because there wouldn't be that in our middle term here. So now if we take out our GCF, we're going to go one step further and say, okay, well, what's left over now? So factor out the GCF. 2 times what gets us 48? Well, that's going to be 24. X squared times what gets us x to the 6th, right? We add the exponents, so it would be x to the 4th. Okay, our next one here, 32 or 2 times what gets us to 32? Well, that's going to be 16. X times what, or x squared times what gets us x squared? Well, we're already there, so we don't need to do anything there. And last one, right, 2 times what gets us negative 26? Well, that's going to be negative 13. And again, we add exponents, so we should have x to the third. There's our answer. So that is it for today's review. Somewhere on your teacher's Schoology page, there is a link to the quizzes review. Has a couple more problems like here, going through those. A great review to get ready for your quiz that is coming up tomorrow.